Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Can I Have a Word with You? Bruce Pulver here, author above the chatter. Our words matter, podcaster with my dear friend Heather Carter, TEDx stuff, just trying to encourage folks with positivity out there in the universe and create a ripple. So, my dear co host Heather Carter. Heather Carter writes, Soul Selfie author, amazing workshop leader, all around great friend and co host. Welcome. How you doing, Heather?
I'm doing good today. Yeah, my heart
Hey,
is happy and grateful and thankful
awesome.
that we get to do this.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That's a great word, grateful.
Hmm.
Grateful. Love that word. We're not going to unpack grateful today, but this word kind of comes as a way to show gratitude sometimes. Um, and sometimes it's the hardest two words to say because sometimes we don't feel comfortable if something comes at us with someone else's appreciation sometimes.
Hmm.
And also, man, it's the easiest two words sometimes to show gratitude and show appreciation. And so we decided today that we are going to unpack the words, two words,
Hmm.
thank you. And so first and foremost, Heather, thank you for kicking me in the backside, whatever it is, two seasons and 40 something episodes ago to say, let's just go live and do a podcast because it was something that
Hmm.
I was really struggling with to do. And you said, no, let's do this and just have a conversation. And it's been a growth, definitely growth time for me in a lot of different ways, being able to look at words differently and learned a lot and technically and all the things that come with, putting yourself out there. So I want to thank you for
Mm. Yeah, well, thanks for being willing. I have to, sometimes I have to like rope people into talking to me for uninterrupted length of time. So
that.
you were my,
Oh,
you were willing. So I appreciate that.
well, thank you and you're welcome. So we are going to unpack the words thank you today. And it was really interesting. I would tell this little story. There's a dear friend of mine that had me on his podcast. He's a musician, and his podcast is called Music and Life. And as a former musician, I guess once you're a musician, you always are, but I'm playing less and less and less every year. Kevin Bales is my friend's name, and Kevin asked me to be on his podcast, and it was sort of a yin versus yang podcast. He said, "Bruce, you've been on stage, you've performed in live settings, but now you spend more of your time in the audience, and we want to have that conversation about what an audience perceives when a musician performs and sort of that relationship that's sometimes difficult to create after the music's over, but what's the relationship like when you're really listening to music and you're listening to the artist, etc. And he told me this story that he had just joined a band with a prominent jazz musician. He's a pianist,
Hmm.
and it was one of his first nights out and he had a solo to play and he just didn't feel really good about it. And he played it and he was kind of down on himself, and a young musician came up to him after the performance and just said, Mr. Bales, I really enjoyed your solos tonight. And Kevin told me that he just went like down on it. He said, oh, it was awful, it was just terrible, I wish I could have played better for you, all of this. And the band leader, who's a legendary clarinetist, came up to Kevin afterwards and said, you don't ever want to see you do that again. And he goes, do what? He goes, that person came up intentionally to pay you a compliment, and you destroyed that compliment by telling them that you weren't worthy of it or you didn't play well, and it disrespected in some ways that that fan, that audience member. And so Kevin and I had a little bit of conversation about that, and that the two best words ever when you receive a compliment are the words thank you. So that's why I wanted to share that story, because I think there's a lot of aspects to being able to say thank you when you receive something, but also to be able to give a thank you, or accept it as well as to give it.
Hmm.
I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
No, I absolutely agree. I definitely have been in his shoes before where someone's complimented me and then I immediately, it's uncomfortable. So you immediately point out all the negative things. Oh, thanks, this whole thing. And I really, I don't know, I got it at Goodwill and, whatever. Like just to kind of, because it's so uncomfortable, you want to immediately distract from receiving it. But I do
Yeah.
intentionally, especially if I'm at a speaking event or something, you can't, that's ridiculous to start shooting yourself in the foot when someone gives you a compliment, and just to be able to smile
Yeah.
and say thank you. It doesn't mean that you wholeheartedly agree, but there's nothing wrong with agreeing either. I don't go speak at these things
Sure.
because I think I'm terrible at it. I mean, it's okay to agree that maybe God has gifted you in some areas, and then giving him the glory to for that.
I totally agree. There's and it's hard, right? I mean, we are, oh no, some we don't want spotlight. That's not what this is about. It's about
Mhm,
someone coming and taking the effort, making the time to say thank you for holding the door
mhm,
for me, or or thank you for the way you responded in a certain situation. Maybe someone's watching in a
mhm,
difficult, tense situation, and they would come up to you and say thank you for whatever you didn't do, for not exploding, for not yelling and screaming or whatever. And a thank you is really important to
mhm,
give back. So we can talk about that. We'll flip that around in a minute. But so let's break this down. To
mhm.
me, I got Ephesians 5 verse 4, as sort of a relevant verse for the word thank you. And it's, don't use dirty or filthy or foolish words. Instead, say how thankful you are. Man, that's just thankful, grateful, kind of started that out early with this podcast. But so as we break this down, thank you, write it vertically. The T became, they work when sincere. And that may have gotten back when you receive a compliment, thank you. Or maybe at a restaurant, you get good service, or you get a phone call on customer service, you had a problem with a bill, or something that you're going to dispute, a charge on a card or something, and someone handles that for you, sincerely offering a thank you. I called up one day the power company here, and all the bills were paid. That wasn't an issue about that, but I just called, someone challenged me to do this, call the power company and tell them thank you, my power's on today. I did that once, and this person on the other end of the phone just flipped out. He said, I'm taking this back. We got a meeting in 30 minutes, and I'm going to say, I got this phone call from some crazy dude, and he wasn't screaming. He wasn't hollering. He wasn't talking to me about the shut off. He wasn't talking to me about the power being out or my Wi Fi being down or whatever those things are. And that just felt good to just thank that person. So they
Mhm.
work when sincere is the T. I don't know. I just think being able to find an opportunity to say thank you to someone is as
Yeah.
important as how you receive a thank you.
Well, I also, sometimes people have the attitude, and I know I've had it at sometimes, like, well, I don't need to say thank you because they're just doing the job. If you're out and about, they're doing the job they're supposed to be doing. Why should I say
Yeah.
thank you for that? Because that's their job. At a restaurant or even at work or even with your kids, like, well, you're supposed to clean your room. Why do I need to say thank you for doing something you're already supposed to do? But what we do, what we're grateful for and what we're thankful for, and especially when we share it with those people, it um, it kind of adds, I don't want to say fuel because that sounds more like negative, but that it helps those same characteristics continue to happen. When you say thank you to someone who does something that they're supposed to do, they feel good about what they're doing, and then they work a little harder at it for the next person or the next time. I know one of the things that my husband did a lot during, and does still, started it during COVID, but when so many people weren't working at all, and he would see go like through a drive-through or something, and one kid one time was taking out the trash, and he was hustling and taking it out back, and he just pulled over and handed the kid $10 and just said, what, I appreciate that you are going to work and that you're working hard and you're willing to just take out trash if that's what needs to be done. Like, that's not very, that that's honorable in this time because a lot of people are just not working, and gave him a big tip. And he does that pretty regularly to people doing jobs, especially jobs that are kind of not the ones people say thank you to, you know?
Yeah. Well, another aspect, and I'll challenge this conversation a little bit. it might be the job that they're hired to do, but we know nothing about their day. We know nothing
Mhm.
about their situation. We know nothing about maybe how difficult it was to get to work today. Maybe the car broke down. Maybe there was an argument. Maybe there's a sick child, but they got there anyway. And yes, it's their job. But if they, just recognizing that there may be something they're going through, because they
Mhm.
probably are, because we all are, it just makes that even more meaningful, regardless if it is in fact their job. Um,
Mhm.
there's all kinds of obstacles that we have to go through to perform at
Mhm.
whatever level that we are. So that's where I'd say there. They work when sincere. The next is like, always having the gun loaded, meaning have them ready to go. Have your thank yous. Look for reasons to find
Mhm.
an opportunity to thank someone for something, whether it's, I don't know, just getting something right. Um, because we're not perfect, and that worked out really well. You return something that you either bought too many of, or the plant died, you take it back to the landscape store or the big box store, and they just swap it for you. Whether you had the receipt or
Mhm.
you didn't, they took care of you. Man, just have them ready, and look for those
Mhm.
opportunities to say thank you, because that, I don't know, I think it just means so much.
Yeah, and it does. It makes a difference in any environment that you're in when people are say thank you for things. I remember when I worked in high school, I worked at a coffee roasting company, and the owner um, was there most of the time, and she stayed up in kind of a loft above the rest of the store. So she kind of looked down and see everything that was happening and stuff. And so when we would leave from our shift, we'd go out the front door, and she would see us leaving, and she would always wave and say, "Bye, bye, Heather. Thanks for being here." And we'd all kind of roll, I was in high school. We all rolled our eyes like, well, if I wasn't here, I would get fired, but whatever. We kind of had a snarky thought about it. But every time she would always say, "Thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here." And I think it's a simple little couple words that can really make a difference, and especially in work environments and probably in families and kind of everywhere. My husband and I say it probably at nauseum now because it's the only two of us in the house. So if one of us is doing the dishes, it is implying that I didn't do them. So I'll hear it from the living room, and I'll say, "Thank you for doing those," or "Thanks for doing," we kind of go almost overboard because we know that it means that we didn't have to do it, and there's no one else is going to do it. It's one of us is going to do it. So I feel like that's
That's
something
right.
that's grown a lot since our kids have moved out. We're very thankful when someone does something, so now we don't have
Yeah.
to. We have no kids to
Well,
do it for us.
it is big appreciation act, right? So the
Mhm.
next two, though, the A and the N and the word thank, I think go together. It's all that need to be said. Thank you. Not another word is the N. So
Mhm.
thank you is a complete sentence.
Mhm.
It has the implied subject, I thank you.
Mhm.
It's a sentence. I think my English teachers would not correct me on that. And if anyone is, and that's not a complete sentence, put it in the notes, put it in the comments. I mean, let us know. But I believe
And
thank you
we'll
is a
just
complete.
mindfully ignore that comment because we say it
And the
in
K to me, the K to me, it kind of gets back to have them ready to go, is keep doling them out. Look
Mhm.
for every opportunity, especially now, right? I mean, there's so much unspoken. We've come out of being quiet for a
Mhm.
long period of time, and a lot of folks have just kind of, I don't say forgotten, but the habit of engaging and interacting has sort of closed itself down, and the technology's kind of taken over. So just keep doling out a thank you. If you can get a surprise, there's a friend of ours who's had us on his podcast, Marcus Ellis, who goes around his hometown and he just says, "Has anybody told you that they love you today?" No. He goes, "Hey, guess what? I love you." So it's his sort of way of engaging with folks, where us, maybe it's a thank you. Maybe it's a thank you. So that's where he kind of ended up with the word thank. And then the U, the YOU, kind of changes it a little bit, because when we do that, the Y is yes, it's reaching the helper. It's reaching the person that did the work, that did the effort. It's actually saying, "I see you."
Mhm.
So that's to me the yes. It's like it's an action that has an impact. And I think that's really important. The O
Mhm.
is the impact made. You just, maybe you get a smile. If you just get a smile out of someone, that,
Mhm.
is an act. It's actually sometimes an involuntary act, but I think the in the what are the instigating of a thank you um
Mhm.
can just change someone's day. So it definitely the impact made. And then the U is use them with please too. So it's
Mhm.
not just on the end of something, but sometimes it's a, can you please help me with this? The please part and the thank you. I don't know, but that was please and thank you was, there's a little song that one of those cartoon or morning
Mhm.
morning shows I grew up watching was really important.
Yeah, there's so many good reminders in that because it just is another way. We have a culture that seems to be becoming more and more mindful about gratitude lists and being grateful. And that's just one way. It might be a little odd to say to a McDonald's worker, I'm so grateful for you today. Might be a little
Yeah.
bit too much, but to just say, thank you to
Yeah.
anybody who you can, I think is, a lot of people aren't acknowledged for anything that they do. Um, Probably more people than you realize.
Well, you don't have to tell a big story about it, and you don't have to just say, I'm grateful for you. But you know what? You might be able to, if you're in a situation where, we were running late and, you got this thing quickly to me because I'm now back on the road. And I appreciate that, because without my ability to stop here and to see your face and to have you hand me this food,
Mhm.
I'd have been late. I'd have been unable to get to where I need to go. So you made a difference today. That's another way of
Mhm.
saying I'm grateful for you, is you made a difference in my life today.
Mhm.
And I just think that's
Well,
important too.
let me just tell you a story about someone I'm super thankful for, even though they didn't actually get done what I needed them to do. They helped me, and this person is a total stranger. They helped me try to figure it out. So this is an embarrassing story, which most of the ones I tell myself are. But I took my AirPods to New Bern, North Carolina, when I went for my conference last week, and I thought I had used them at work this week, but I couldn't find them over the weekend. I thought I must have just left them at work. So finally, they weren't at my office. So I got on my phone and got find my AirPods. Well, it has like a big circle and says they're somewhere in this area at somewhere in the airport in Peoria, which is an hour and a half from my house. So it shows them in a big swatch because they don't know exactly where they are because I'm an hour away. But so I called there, and the TSA guy, he couldn't, obviously with that big of broad of a thing, he can't. He goes, well, it shows they're on the runway. And I'm like, I don't think that's true. But so he looked around, he went to the gate, he did all kinds of stuff just trying to help me find my headphones. Turns out I'm still driving to Peoria probably tomorrow. But, I just was, I mean, he didn't have to do that. Maybe he wasn't doing it. I don't know. He acted like he was going to all these places and he told me he was.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I'm going to meet Todd and tell him thank you for, at least giving it a little extra effort, to try to help me figure out where my headphones are. So
Yeah. Yeah. And
he's
thank you.
going to be
And
praying
what
that
does
I
that
find
do? What does that do too? That might, someone that works with him saying, what are you doing, Todd? He goes, well, this nice lady called me and I'm just trying to help her out. And that might just change a response that coworker might have. And it's also going to
Yeah.
impact you. And you're telling this story that, it's going to impact other folks. It's like, man, this guy Todd, I need to go find Todd in Peoria,
Yeah.
man. I want to thank him too on Heather's behalf, right?
Yeah. I am going to find out
Yeah.
his last name because my husband works like this with TSA. So I'm going to
Mm,
tell him to tell TSA this employee did this. Maybe he'll get
it's
something from TSA. Who knows? But I'm just
amazing.
grateful. It gives you like hope for humanity when people like that do something for a total
Absolutely.
stranger.
So,
You just
so,
feel a
so
little less
thank,
icky about the world.
yeah, like there is still some light there. There still is light in a
Mhm.
dark room, right? And that's all we're instructed to be, is to be the light in a dark room, because lightness and darkness cannot exist in the same place. So, yeah, that's what God tells us to do. And a please and a thank you can go a long way to putting a smile on someone's, making a change in who knows what's going on in their life. So, so with thank you, we'll wrap this thing up real quick. Thank you. We'll run it real quick. T, they work when sincere. H, have them ready to go. Your thank yous. A, all that needs to be said. Thank you is a complete sentence, not another word is the end. K, keep doling them out. Find reasons for a thank you to be given to someone else and give it out. The Y is, yes, you're reaching the helper. Todd is going to get a huge thank you from you when you see him. I know it, right? The O is, oh, the impact
Todd's
made.
going to be scared of me, probably. I'm going to be like, Todd.
He's going to run. Who's this lady? Let me out of here.
Run from me.
You never know the impact, but you never know the impact you're going to make. The ripple, he may be struggling with something and he just decided. And next thing you know, you've made an impact on someone in his life and someone else's. And then the U in thank you is use them with please also. So thank you. So Heather, thank you for always unpacking a word, giving it different perspective. We all come from the greatness of it, the messiness of it, the kind of driving through it. And it's so much fun to have a conversation that's real and not, we haven't figured all this stuff out. We have these podcasts so we can try to figure some things out together.
Yep. And remember, if you're listening and you're new, especially, but I'm sure even if you're not new, you haven't heard every single podcast, because there are, what did we say, 42 or something now?
In our second season. Yeah.
In our
so we've got a full
season.
season.
So there's some the year before. So go to Can I Have a Word with You on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening to your podcast, and go back and listen to some of those other ones. They're great, driving to work kind of things. I had a lady tell me the other day at church that she listens to it when she drives to work, and one lady when she drives her kids to school. So yeah, check those out. There's a lot in there. Probably I should listen to them too. It'd probably be good for me.
Go back and listen to our own. Absolutely. Well, and if you're looking for a speaker, looking for someone to run a workshop, reach out to Heather. She's doing these amazing workshops where, folks say, I'll go first, and really get together and talk through some things that might be challenges or might be opportunities, or, we all are going through not exactly the same thing, but man, it's really good to have a venue and a framework to just unpack a conversation, unpack something that's challenging us.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, check us out on our websites and see all the cool stuff that Bruce is doing. Bruce does a broad range of speaking, so make sure you check out his all the possibilities with him, and he's good. Mine are pretty sort of set, but I can tweak them. But he's got a broader range of things, because he can make, as you know, in here, any word you give him, he can apply it to your business or whatever it is that you're doing. So he's awesome.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Heather. Until next time, for Can I Have a Word with You? We had a great word today. Take care. See y'all.